Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be making an easy tote bag with pockets and lining. This is a great project for beginners and it won't take you very long at all. I'm using some vintage fabrics that I found in my mom's garage and a lining that I bought at Hobby Lobby. The green corduroy is for the straps and pockets, the blue is for the outside of the bag, and the yellow is for the lining. If you're planning to do this project, you need about a half a yard of each fabric. I start by cutting my fabrics. For the outside of the bag, I need two pieces measuring 15.5 by 12.5 inches, two measuring 12.5 by 5.5, and one 15.5 by 5.5. For the lining, the measurements are the exact same. Then for the straps and pockets, I need two pieces measuring 49 inches by 4 inches, and two measuring 7.5 inches by 9.5 inches. After cutting, I run a quick iron over my cuts. To be honest, it probably would have helped if I ironed them first, but I was being lazy. Next, I'm going to sew the straps. So I take one of my long green strips and fold and iron it in half once. Then I unfold it and fold the sides in to meet the press in the middle. Iron both of those folds. And then I fold it in half again and iron all the way down. I do this for both straps and they'll look like this. Then I take my folded strap and sew two seams 1/4 inch over from each side. I'll do this for both straps and then set them aside for now. Next, I'm ready to prep the pockets and sew them on. For this, all I'm going to do is lay my green rectangle cut down vertically, fold the top side down about 1/2 inch, iron it down, and then sew a seam down this line with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you are following along and want to be extra meticulous, you can fold it down twice and iron and sew. I'll do this for both pockets. Now I'm going to line my pocket up with the middle of my first side, and I do this by folding the fabric cuts in half and making a visible crease in the middle of each one. And then I'll line those creases up and pin it down. Then I'll sew right along the edge of the entire pocket. It doesn't matter what this looks like since it'll be covered up later. Next, I'm ready to sew the straps on. So I'm going to line each strap up where both edges of the pocket are situated in the middle of each strap. Then I'll pin the straps down. I also have to be careful to make sure the straps are laying the right way and aren't twisted at the top loop, so I need to do this carefully and double check before sewing the straps down. Then I'm going to sew the straps along the same seam lines, stopping and back stitching a couple inches down from the top edge. The top of the strap should end about 2 inches below the top edge. You could also do a box X stitch at the top here, but I decided I didn't want to with the yellow thread I'm using. Then I repeat this process for the other side of the bag, and I have my two sides done and I'm ready to start assembling the outside. Now I'll take my two 12.5 by 5.5 inch strips and sew them right sides facing to either side edge of one of the bag side pieces. Then I'll take the 15.5 by 5.5 inch piece, pin it down to the bottom edge and to the bottom edges of the two side strips, and I'll sew along these edges using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. This creates the sides and bottom of the bag. Last, I'll take my other side piece, lay it down right sides facing, pin along all three edges, and sew them together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And it's starting to look like a bag now. I assemble my lining pieces in the exact same way. One trick I like while sewing these together is to sew one side, and then when I get to the end of that side, I'll leave the needle in the fabric, lift the presser foot up, rotate the fabric, put the foot down, and then continue sewing along the next side. Next, it's time to sew the lining and the bag together. So I'm going to quickly pin down my straps so that they don't get in the way. Then I'll turn my lining piece inside out and put it around the bag piece with the right sides facing. I'll make sure that my side seams are lined up, and then I'll pin along the top edges and sew these together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I have to remember to stop sewing a few inches before I reach my starting point because I'll need that gap to turn the bag right side out. The bigger the opening, the easier it is to pull the bag out. You can probably see here that I did not leave a very big opening, and it was quite a hassle to pull the bag out. Now I'm going to iron around this edge just because I think that makes the last step a little bit easier. And last, I'm going to sew along the edge again with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This closes up the opening I left and keeps the lining from rolling out over the top edge. And here's my bag. I hope you like it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, and thanks for watching.